I stood frozen behind a large potted plant, my heart pounding so hard I thought it would jump out of my chest. There, across the fancy restaurant, was my husband, Mark. He was holding hands with a beautiful young woman, laughing at something she had said. He had told me he would be working late at the office, but he wasn't working. He was on a date. I felt like I had been punched in the stomach. My first thought was to run over there, to scream, to throw my water glass at him. But I didn't. I just stood there, watching. A strange calmness washed over me. I wasn't going to cause a scene. I wasn't going to give him the satisfaction of seeing me break. No, I was going to be much, much smarter than that. I turned around and walked out of the restaurant without making a sound. He never even saw me, but I saw him. And now, I had a plan. Hello, my wonderful friends from around the world. If you're listening to my story right now, please tell me what time it is and which country you are in. I love hearing from all of you. My name is Amanda. For 15 years, I have been Mark's wife. We met in college, and I thought he was the most wonderful man in the world. He was charming, funny, and he told me I was his everything. We built a life together. We have a beautiful 12-year-old daughter named Lily. I thought we were happy. I worked as a graphic designer from home so I could be there for Lily, to take her to school, to help with her homework, to make dinner for our family. Mark worked hard at his marketing company. I was so proud of him. I supported his dreams. I listened to his problems. I was his biggest cheerleader. But about a year ago, things started to change. Mark started working later and later. He would come home tired and grumpy. He stopped asking me about my day. He seemed distant, like his mind was always somewhere else. I thought he was just stressed about work. I tried to be understanding. I made his favorite meals. I gave him space. I thought it was just a phase. Then the little things started adding up. He became very protective of his phone. He would take it with him everywhere, even to the bathroom. If I walked into the room while he was texting, he would quickly turn off the screen. He started dressing nicer for work, wearing cologne he never used to wear. He said it was for important client meetings. My friend, Sarah, told me I was being silly. "Amanda, you're imagining things," she said. "Mark loves you. He's just busy." I wanted to believe her. I pushed my worries down and tried to be a better wife. But my gut feeling told me something was wrong. Last week, I found a receipt in his pants pocket for an expensive piece of jewelry. It was a diamond necklace. My birthday was months away. It wasn't for our anniversary. When I asked him about it, he got angry. He said it was a gift for a client who had signed a big contract. He said I didn't understand the pressures of his business. He made me feel like I was a nagging, suspicious wife. That's when I decided I needed to know the truth. Tonight, he texted me. "Sorry, honey, crazy night. Have to work late again. Don't wait up." Something in my heart snapped. I called his office. No answer. I called his assistant, who told me Mark had left for the day at 5 p.m. I felt a cold dread. I drove to his office building. His car wasn't there. I drove around the city, not even sure what I was looking for. And then I saw it. His blue sedan, parked right outside the Silver Spoon, one of the most romantic and expensive restaurants in town. My hands were shaking as I parked my car. I walked into the restaurant, my knees feeling weak. And that's when I saw them. Mark and the woman. She was young, probably in her 20s, with long blonde hair. She was wearing the diamond necklace from the receipt. Seeing them together was like a nightmare. But the strangest thing happened. Instead of crying, I felt a powerful, clear anger. This man had lied to me. He had betrayed our family. He had made a fool of me, and he thought he was getting away with it. I walked out of that restaurant with a new purpose. I wasn't the sad, betrayed wife anymore. I was a hunter, and I was about to start gathering my weapons. I drove home, my mind racing. I had to be careful. I had to be smart. I couldn't let him know that I knew. When I got home, the house was quiet. Lily was already asleep. I sat in the dark living room, waiting. An hour later, I heard Mark's key in the door. He walked in, looking tired. He saw me sitting there. "Amanda, why are you sitting in the dark?" he asked. "I couldn't sleep," I said, my voice perfectly calm. "How was work?" He sighed, running a hand through his hair. "Exhausting. We're finalizing the Johnson account. It's a nightmare." He walked over and kissed the top of my head. "I'm going to take a shower." He walked away, smelling of expensive food and another woman's perfume. He had looked me right in the eye and lied. And I had looked right back at him and pretended to believe it. The game had begun. The next morning, I acted completely normal. I made pancakes for Lily and packed her lunch for school. I smiled at Mark and handed him his coffee. I was the perfect wife. Inside, I was a volcano waiting to erupt. But on the outside, I was calm and cool. After they both left, I got to work. I went into Mark's home office. I needed proof. I needed to know who this woman was. I turned on his computer. It was password protected. I tried a few passwords: Lily's birthday, our anniversary. Nothing worked. Then I had an idea. I tried the name of his first dog, Buster. The computer screen unlocked. My husband was not a very creative man. I started searching through his files. I found a folder labeled Tax Documents 2023. I opened it. Inside were not tax documents, but pictures. Dozens of pictures of Mark and the blonde woman, on a beach, hiking. In a hotel room. My stomach turned. I also found emails. Her name was Jessica. She was a new junior associate at his firm. The emails were sickening. He called her his little star. He talked about how I didn't understand him. He said he felt trapped in our marriage. He promised her he would leave me soon. I felt sick, but I kept going. I needed more. I needed something bigger. I started looking through his financial records, and that's when I found it. Something much worse than an affair. Over the past 6 months, Mark had been moving large amounts of money out of our joint savings account, thousands of dollars at a time. He had been transferring it to a separate, private account, an account I knew nothing about. He was stealing from our family. He was stealing from me and Lily. He wasn't just cheating on me. He was robbing us blind to fund his new life with Jessica. I printed everything. The pictures, the emails, the bank statements. I had a thick stack of papers, a pile of my husband's lies and crimes. I hid it all in a locked box in the back of my closet. I had the proof. Now I had to decide what to do with it. I couldn't just show him the papers. He would cry. He would apologize. He would promise to change. He might even stop seeing Jessica for a little while, but he would do it again. He had shown me who he truly was. I wanted more than an apology. I wanted justice. I wanted him to feel the same pain and betrayal he had caused me. I needed a lawyer. I needed to protect myself and Lily. I found a woman online named Evelyn Reed, who specialized in divorce for women in my situation. I called her and made an appointment for the next day. That evening, Mark came home from work early. He seemed nervous. He was watching me closely, as if he was trying to see if I suspected anything. "Amanda, is everything okay?" he asked during dinner. "You seem quiet." I looked up from my plate and gave him a sweet smile. "I'm just a little tired, honey. Don't worry about me." He seemed relieved. He thought he was safe. After dinner, he was in a strangely good mood. He was humming while he loaded the dishwasher. Then, he came and sat next to me on the sofa. "Amanda," he said, taking my hand, "I've been thinking. We should go on a vacation. Just the two of us. To Hawaii. I think we need to reconnect." I stared at him, shocked. He was trying to love-bomb me, to shower me with affection, to throw me off the scent. He was taking me to Hawaii with money he had stolen from our family. The nerve of this man was unbelievable. I squeezed his hand. "That sounds wonderful, Mark," I said, my voice full of fake excitement. "I would love that." He beamed, thinking his plan was working. But I had a plan of my own, and it didn't involve a vacation. It involved destruction. Later that night, As I was getting ready for bed, my phone buzzed. It was an email notification. I opened it. It was from our home security system company, confirming a password change. I felt a jolt of fear. I hadn't changed the password. I ran to my laptop and tried to log into our home security account. My password didn't work. Mark had changed it. He had locked me out of our own home security system. Why would he do that? What was he planning? A cold chill ran down my spine. The game had just gotten much more dangerous. My blood ran cold. Why would Mark change the security password? Was he planning something? Did he suspect that I knew? I stood in the dark hallway, listening to the quiet hum of the house, and for the first time, I felt afraid. This wasn't just about revenge anymore. This was about safety. My safety, and Lily's. I had to act normal. I couldn't let him see my fear. The next morning, I made breakfast with a smile plastered on my face. I kissed Lily goodbye as she left for school. When Mark came down, I handed him his coffee, my hand steady. "Anything exciting at work today?" I asked, my voice light. "Just the usual meetings," he said, not meeting my eyes. He seemed tense. "Hey, by the way, the security system company sent an alert about a software update. They had me reset the password. The new one is Lily2024. Simple, right?" He was lying. The email I received wasn't about an update. It was a confirmation of a password change initiated by him. He was covering his tracks, but he was doing it clumsily. He was nervous. "That's fine, honey," I said. "Thanks for handling it." After he left, I immediately tried the password. Lily2024. It worked. He had told me the truth about the new password, but he had lied about why he changed it. This was a test. He was checking to see if I would challenge him. If I would reveal that I had seen the email, I had passed. For now. My meeting with the lawyer, Evelyn Reed, was that afternoon. Her office was calm and quiet, a world away from the chaos in my head. I showed her everything, the photos, the emails, the bank statements. She listened intently, her eyes growing serious. "Amanda, this is more than enough for a divorce with a very favorable settlement for you," she said. "The hidden assets alone are grounds for you to receive a much larger share, and his infidelity will play strongly in court, especially regarding custody of Lily." "Thank you," I said, feeling a wave of relief. I had a professional on my side. "However," she continued, her voice lowering, "the password change on the security system is concerning. It's a controlling move. I want you to start documenting everything. Keep a journal. Write down any strange behavior. And I think it's time you opened your own bank account. Move some money, just to be safe." I followed her advice. That very day, I went to a different bank and opened an account in my name only. I transferred a small amount of money from our joint account, enough to survive on for a few months if I had to. It felt like a secret act of rebellion, and it gave me a small sense of power. A few days passed. I continued my acting job, playing the part of the happy, oblivious wife. Mark seemed to relax again. He stopped watching me so closely. He even brought me flowers one night, another attempt at his love-bombing strategy. I put them in a vase and smiled, all while knowing the money for those flowers had likely come from our stolen savings. I started my journal, just as Evelyn had suggested. I wrote about the security password. I wrote about the flowers. I wrote about how he had started complaining about money, saying we needed to tighten our belts, even though I knew he had thousands hidden away. The hypocrisy was staggering. Then, something new happened. Lily came home from school looking upset. "Dad picked me up today," she said, her bottom lip trembling. "He was acting weird. He said we might go on a big adventure soon, just him and me. He said it was a secret. He told me not to tell you." My heart stopped. A big adventure? Without me? Was he planning to take Lily? Was that why he changed the security password? To disable the cameras and alarms if he decided to take her in the middle of the night? This was no longer just about me. He was involving our daughter. He was lying to her, asking her to keep secrets from her own mother. The rage I felt was hotter and more pure than anything I had felt before. I knelt down and hugged Lily tightly. "Thank you for telling me, sweetie. That was the right thing to do. You should never keep secrets from Mom, okay?" She nodded, her little arms wrapped around my neck. "Okay, Mommy." That night, I added a new, terrifying entry to my journal. I also called Evelyn, my voice shaking as I told her about Mark's secret adventure with Lily. "This is serious, Amanda," Evelyn said. "We need to act faster. We should file for divorce and a temporary custody order immediately. His behavior is showing a pattern of deception and potential manipulation of your child." We made a plan. I would continue gathering evidence for one more week. Then, we would file the papers. I felt a clock ticking in my head, counting down to the moment my world would officially explode. The next Saturday, Mark announced he was going golfing with friends. I smiled and told him to have a good time. The moment his car disappeared down the street, I went into action. I knew he often left his personal laptop in the trunk of his car, but he had taken his main work laptop with him. There was one place I hadn't looked yet, a small, locked, fireproof box he kept on the top shelf of his closet. I had never known what was inside. I had never cared to look before. I found the key taped to the back of his nightstand. My hands were sweating as I opened the box. Inside, I found a second phone, a cheap, prepaid burner phone. I turned it on. There was only one number saved in the contacts: Jessica. My stomach churned. I scrolled through the text messages. The conversations were even worse than the emails. They were planning a future together. They talked about moving to another state. And then I saw the message that made my blood run cold. It was from Mark to Jessica, sent just 2 days ago. "Don't worry, my love. I'm handling it. I'll get what's mine. She'll never see it coming. Soon we'll be free." I stared at the words. She'll never see it coming. He wasn't just talking about the divorce. He was talking about something else, something bigger. Was he planning to empty all our accounts and disappear? Was he planning to take Lily? I heard a car door slam outside. I froze. He wasn't supposed to be back for hours. I quickly turned off the phone, put it back in the box, locked it, and returned the key. I ran into the living room and grabbed a book, pretending to read just as the front door opened. Mark walked in. He wasn't wearing golf clothes. He was in jeans and a t-shirt. He looked surprised to see me. "You're back early," I said, my heart hammering against my ribs. "The game was rained out," he said, his eyes narrowing slightly. He looked at me, then his eyes flicked toward the hallway that led to our bedroom. "What have you been up to?" "Just reading," I said, holding up my book. "It's getting good." He didn't smile. He just stood there, watching me. The air in the room felt thick and heavy. He knew something was wrong. I could feel it. The careful wall I had built around my secret was starting to crack. He took a step toward me. "Amanda," he said, his voice low, "is there something you want to tell me?" The air in the room was so still I could hear my own heartbeat. Mark's eyes were locked on me, suspicious and hard. He knew I was hiding something. I had to think fast. I let my face fall into a look of sadness. I looked down at my book and sighed. "I was just thinking about my mom," I said, my voice soft and a little shaky. "Today is the anniversary of when she got her cancer diagnosis. I guess I'm just feeling a little down." It was a lie. My mother was perfectly healthy and lived in Florida, but it was a believable lie. Mark knew I was close to my mom, and he never remembered dates like that. He wouldn't check. His expression changed instantly. The suspicion melted away, replaced by awkward pity. He never knew how to handle emotions. "Oh, right. Sorry, Amanda," he mumbled, shoving his hands in his pockets. I'm going to go watch the game in the den." He turned and walked away, leaving me alone in the living room. I let out a slow, quiet breath. I had dodged a bullet, but it was too close. He was getting paranoid. I had to be more careful than ever. The discovery of the burner phone changed everything. This wasn't just a man having an affair. This was a man planning an escape. She'll never see it coming. The words echoed in my mind. I couldn't wait a week. I called Evelyn from my closet the next day, whispering into the phone. I found a burner phone. He's talking about taking what's his and disappearing. He's involving our daughter. We have to file now, I pleaded. Okay, Amanda, stay calm, Evelyn said, her voice a steady anchor. I'll prepare the paperwork immediately. We will file for divorce, full custody, and a temporary restraining order based on the threatening nature of his texts and his manipulation of your child. We'll file in 3 days. Be ready. 3 days. I could last 3 more days. The next 48 hours were agony. Every time Mark looked at me, I felt like he could see right through me. I played my part perfectly, but inside, I was a bundle of raw nerves. I started moving small, important things to a safe place. My passport, Lily's birth certificate, the folder of evidence, some of her favorite toys. I packed a go bag for the 2 of us and hid it in the trunk of my car, just in case. The night before we were supposed to file, Mark came home from work looking strangely triumphant. He had a smirk on his face that made my skin crawl. Big news, he announced over dinner. I closed the Johnson account today. Huge commission. I'm thinking we should use some of it to finally redo the backyard patio. What do you think? I forced a smile. That sounds great, honey. But my mind was racing. The Johnson account? That was the same client he had used as an excuse for the diamond necklace. Was there even a real commission? Or was this just another story, a way to explain more money moving around? After Lily went to bed, I checked our joint bank account online. There was no large deposit. Nothing. His big commission was another lie. An hour later, I saw him through the window, standing in the backyard, talking on his burner phone. His back was to me, but I could see his gestures were animated, excited. He was planning something that made him feel victorious. I couldn't sleep that night. I lay in bed next to him, listening to him breathe, feeling like I was lying next to a stranger, a dangerous stranger. The go bag in my car felt less like a precaution and more like a necessity. The next morning, the day of the filing, I woke up with a knot of anxiety in my stomach. This was it. By the end of the day, Mark would be served with divorce papers. The war would be out in the open. I got Lily ready for school, my hands trembling as I tied her shoes. Have a great day, my love, I said, hugging her extra tight. You too, Mommy, she said, oblivious. Mark was in an unusually good mood, whistling as he gulped down his coffee. Big meeting today. Wish me luck, he said, grabbing his briefcase. Good luck, I said, my voice barely a whisper. He left. The house was silent. I was alone. I called Evelyn. It's today, I said. Everything is ready, she assured me. The process server will be at his office at 3 p.m. Stay strong, Amanda. I spent the morning pacing, jumping at every sound. I tried to work, but I couldn't focus. At noon, my phone rang. It was Lily's school. My heart leaped into my throat. Hello? Mrs. Miller, this is Nurse Amy from Willow Creek Elementary. Lily is in the clinic. She says she has a bad stomach ache and is asking for you. A cold dread washed over me. Lily was never sick. She was a healthy, energetic kid. This was too much of a coincidence. I'll be right there, I said, already grabbing my car keys. I drove to the school, my mind racing. Was she really sick? Or was something else going on? I ran into the clinic. Lily was lying on a cot, her face pale. Mommy, she whimpered. I'm here, baby, I said, hugging her. I turned to the nurse. What happened? She said her stomach hurt right after lunch. No fever. She just seems very upset. Suddenly, my phone buzzed. It was a text from Mark. Heard Lily is sick. I'll pick her up. I'm already on my way. My blood ran cold. How did he know? The school would have called me first. I never called him. I looked down at my daughter. "Lily, honey," I asked gently, "did you call Daddy?" She shook her head, her eyes wide and scared. "No, but he told me if I ever felt sick at school, the nurse would call him and he would come get me for our adventure. He said it was our special plan." The room seemed to spin. Our special plan. The secret adventure. He had programmed the school to call him. He was using our daughter's potential illness as a trigger. He was on his way to take her. He wasn't waiting for the cover of night. He was doing it now, in broad daylight. "He can't have her," I whispered, my voice fierce with a mother's protective instinct. I scooped Lily into my arms. "We're leaving. Now. Mrs. Miller, you need to sign her out," the nurse called after me. I didn't stop. I ran down the hallway, clutching my daughter. I burst through the school's front doors and sprinted toward the parking lot. And then I stopped dead. Mark's blue sedan was parked right next to my car. He was standing beside it, leaning against the driver's side door, blocking me in. He wasn't smiling anymore. His face was a cold, hard mask. "Going somewhere, Amanda?" he asked, his voice dangerously calm. We stood frozen in the dark, staring at each other. My son, my David, was looking at me like I was a stranger he'd caught robbing his house. The bag in my hand felt like a confession of guilt. I couldn't sleep," I stammered, my mind racing. "I was going to sit in the garden for some air." It was a weak lie, and we both knew it. David stepped into the room, closing the door softly behind him. He didn't look angry, he looked worried. "Mom, what's going on? Why are you dressed? And why was your door locked?" He ran a hand through his messy hair. "Chloe said you've been acting strange since you got back from the bank. She said you were confused." A spark of anger cut through my fear. "Confused? David, she tried to make me sign papers that would give you two all my money. All of it. That's not confusion, that's robbery." He flinched, his eyes widening for a second before his face settled into a sad, patient look. It was the same look he used to give me when he thought I was forgetting things. "Mom, no, that's not what that was. Those were just papers for the down payment. You're misunderstanding. You've been so tired lately." He was using Chloe's words. He was in on it. The final, painful piece of the puzzle clicked into place, breaking my heart into a million pieces. My own son was looking me in the eye and lying. "A bank clerk showed me," I whispered, my voice cracking. "He warned me. He slipped me a note." David's face hardened. "What bank clerk?" "Mom, you can't trust strangers. They see an older woman alone and they try to twist things to scare you. They want to take advantage." He took a step closer. "We are your family. We are the only ones who really care about you." The irony of his words was like a physical blow. The people trying to steal from me were claiming they were my protectors. I felt dizzy, the room starting to spin. I had to get him to leave. "You're right," I said, letting my shoulders slump in defeat. I dropped my bag on the floor. I'm just tired and confused. It's been a long day." I moved towards my bed, pretending to be overwhelmed. "I just need to sleep." David watched me, his expression a mix of suspicion and relief. "Okay, Mom, that's a good idea. Just get some rest. We'll talk more in the morning." He walked to the door. "I'll leave this unlocked, okay? No more locking doors." He gave me one last, long look before stepping out and pulling the door shut. I waited, listening to his footsteps fade down the hall. I waited until I heard the creak of his own bedroom door closing. My act of surrender was over. His lie had given me the strength I needed. He had chosen her. He had chosen to betray me. Now, I had to choose myself. I picked up my bag. The door was unlocked, but the front door would be too loud. There was only one way out, my window. My bedroom was on the first floor, and it wasn't a long drop to the soft grass of the flower bed below. It was risky, but I had no other choice. I quietly pushed the window up, wincing at the slight squeak it made. The cool night air hit my face. I threw my bag out first, then swung my legs over the sill. With a deep breath, I pushed myself off, landing with a soft thud in the dirt. I stayed still for a moment, listening. The house remained dark and silent. I was out. I grabbed my bag and started to run. I didn't have my car, they would hear me start it. I had to run to the main road, to the gas station a mile away. I could call a taxi from there. I ran like I hadn't run in 40 years. My heart pounded, my lungs burned, but fear gave me wings. Every shadow looked like Chloe. Every sound was David coming after me. I didn't look back. I just ran. Finally, I saw the bright lights of the 24-hour gas station. I stumbled inside, breathless and disheveled. The young man behind the counter looked at me with wide eyes. "I need to use your phone," I gasped. "Please." I called the taxi company and gave them Margaret's address. While I waited, hidden behind a shelf of motor oil, I called the number Mark had given me for the lawyer, Miss Evelyn Reed. It went to a voicemail, but I left a shaky message, telling her who I was and that I was safe and on my way to my sister's. The taxi arrived. I slid into the back seat, and as we pulled away from the gas station, I finally dared to look back towards my neighborhood. My house was out of sight, but the weight of what I had left behind was crushing. The taxi ride felt like it took forever. When we finally pulled up to Margaret's small, familiar house, dawn was just beginning to lighten the sky. I paid the driver and walked up to her door, my whole body trembling with exhaustion and adrenaline. I rang the doorbell. A light came on inside. The door opened, and there stood my sister, wrapped in a robe, her hair a mess. Her sleepy eyes took me in my dirty clothes, my wild hair, the fear on my face. "Helen?" she said, her voice full of sleep and shock. "My God, what's happened? What are you doing here?" The sound of her voice, so full of genuine concern, broke me. The dam holding back my tears burst. I fell into her arms, sobbing uncontrollably. I was safe, for now. But my relief was short-lived. As Margaret led me inside, my phone, which had been in my bag, started to buzz. Then it buzzed again, and again. I pulled it out. The screen was filled with notifications. Missed calls from David, missed calls from Chloe, and then a new text message flashed onto the screen. It was from Chloe. The message was simple, but the words filled me with a new kind of terror. "We know you're at Margaret's. We're on our way. We need to talk. Don't do anything stupid, Helen." My heart dropped into my stomach. An anonymous report? Neglect? I knew instantly who was behind this. Mark was fighting dirty. He was trying to use the system to take Lily from me. I unchained the door, my hands trembling. "Please, come in," I said, my mind racing. I had to stay calm for Lily. The social worker, who introduced herself as Mrs. Davies, sat in my living room. She asked to see Lily, and I brought my daughter downstairs. Lily, sensing the strange tension, clung to my side. "Hello, Lily," Mrs. Davies said gently. "I just need to ask your mommy a few questions. Everything is okay." She then turned to me. "The report states that you are unstable, that you have been keeping Lily from her father without cause, and that your home environment is emotionally volatile. Can you tell me about your current situation?" I took a deep breath. This was it. I walked to my closet and retrieved the locked box. I opened it and placed the stack of evidence on the coffee table, the photos, the bank statements, the printed emails. "Mrs. Davies, my husband is having an affair and has been systematically stealing money from our family," I began, my voice surprisingly steady. I showed her the picture of Mark and Jessica at the restaurant. I showed her the bank transfers to the secret account. When I filed for divorce, he was served at our daughter's school. He then slashed my tire and threatened me in front of her. "There is a police report." I handed her a copy of the report. Her expression changed from neutral, professional to one of deep concern as she flipped through the documents. She saw the photo of the deflated tire, the threatening text messages on the burner phone, the emails where Mark discussed taking Lily on a secret adventure. She looked at Lily, who was quietly coloring on the floor. Has your daughter been in therapy since the incident? Not yet, I admitted. It's only been a week. My main focus has been on our immediate safety. Mrs. Davies nodded. I understand. This is a lot for a child to process. She closed her folder. Mrs. Miller, based on what you've shown me, it's clear this report is a malicious attempt by your husband to manipulate the system. I will be closing this case immediately. However, I strongly recommend you get Lily into play therapy to help her cope. I can provide you with a list of resources. A wave of relief so powerful it made me dizzy washed over me. Thank you, I whispered. Thank you so much. After she left, I hugged Lily, tears of relief streaming down my face. We had survived another attack. The final court date arrived a month later. Mark showed up looking haggard and alone. His lawyer argued weakly, but the evidence against him was a mountain. Financial fraud, adultery, threatening behavior, witness intimidation, and filing a false child welfare report. The judge was not impressed. The ruling was swift and decisive. The divorce was granted. I was awarded the house, the majority of our remaining assets, and full legal and physical custody of Lily. Mark was ordered to pay significant child support and was granted only supervised visitation, contingent on him completing a series of parenting and anger management classes. He was ordered to pay my legal fees. As we walked out of the courtroom, he looked at me, his face a mask of defeat. He had lost his family, his money, and his reputation. He had nothing. Amanda, he started. I didn't let him finish. I held Lily's hand tightly and looked straight ahead. Goodbye, Mark. We walked out of the courthouse and into the sunshine. Lily looked up at me. Is it just us now, Mommy? I knelt down and looked into her beautiful, hopeful eyes. Yes, sweetheart, it's just us. And we are going to be so happy. And we were. The fear and the shadows slowly faded from our lives. Lily started play therapy and began to laugh again. A real, carefree laugh. I started my own small design business, using the money from the settlement to build a stable future for us. It had been a long, painful road, but it led us to a new beginning. I had learned that kindness and empathy were strengths, but so was the fierce courage to protect the ones you love. We were no longer a family of 3, broken by lies. We were a family of 2, built on a foundation of truth and a love that was stronger than anything. We were free.